Hello, this is Rauta and we're at Metalli Helvetti kesäbileet summer party, which means metal in various forms and all that shit. Today's headlining band is a death metal band from Oulu, Finland. Almost Lapland, I kid you not, but without reindeers, obviously. These guys are one of the most promising names of death metal. No, I'm not brown-nosing, but I've heard their music and they kick ass, for real. Now, probably all these guys are blushing, so let's start asking them stupid questions before they get too drunk and all that stuff. Guys, let's start introducing. Who the heck are you and what are you doing here?
I'm Aleksi. I'm the singer of the band.
I'm Atte. I play drums.
Turku. I play guitar.
Guitarist, drummer and vocalist. We miss only bass player, who is probably brewing some beer at the moment. But let's talk about the riffs. You're doing some crushing riffs. What is your secret sauce? How you make Revulsion sound like it should?
Time and beer.
What kind of beer, if you don't mind me asking?
What I have available.
Okay, so it's basically whatever is the poison, it gets you going.
Yeah, basically.
What kind of bands keep inspiring you to do this kind of traditional but proper death metal?
This is a very hard question.
I like hard questions. They make me hard.
There's many inspirational bands for me, but I'd like to create something new that sounds like Revulsion. I take inspiration from many bands, but I want the Revulsion sound to be like Revulsion, basically.
Yeah, I think one of the secrets for us is that we all listen to very different bands as well. We have some common ground in terms of like Cannibal Corpse obviously is an influence to all of us, but then we have our own influences. There are some bands that only I listen to, some that only he listens to, and so on. And when that all comes together, even though we're not really reinventing the wheel, so to say, I mean, it's very traditional, straightforward death metal, but we try to bring our own little twist to it somehow. And I think that comes from all of us with our different backgrounds.
Because we make songs together. It's not like somebody makes the song full. It's like riffs and ideas, and we together. It's a really painful and slow process.
But that's why you make quality.
Yeah, it's like really like
screwing it very tight.
Yeah.
Okay. Now drumming is something that I'm very much fond of, even though I cannot play for shit, but I'm especially fanatic when it comes to kind of a groovy and also technical playing of drums. So I'm very much paying attention to whatever drummers are doing, because, it can get very boring if it's just like, basic blasting and all that stuff. What is the way that you get, like, what kind of drive you need to have in order to make it Revulsion kind of drumming, or what kind of drummers inspire to you to just take you to the next level?
I think, well, one of the things as a drummer, it's always the kind of more interesting rhythmic ideas and trying to find something that isn't quite so traditional and basic. So trying to mix in some kind of rhythmic patterns that aren't maybe always that traditional to death metal, so to speak. But in terms of drummers, well, obviously Thomas Haake from Meshuggah they're my like spirit animal.
Yeah.
I can listen to them forever. But then, I don't know, there's like different influences. There are guys who are really good with the fast blasting and really groovy death metal stuff, and then there's the groovy stuff from other genres. So I think it's, again, a kind of a mixture of different things. In terms of influences, I don't really have that many of like drumming gods or anything like that, but it's certain bands, and it's more than just the drumming.
Of course. What about you, Mr. Vocalist? Vocaling part is very important when we talk about death metal. You have to have a certain kind of a power and strength in your vocal, and of course you need to spit out those lyrics in the way that it sounds death metal-like.
Yeah.
But how do you keep your voice and tone so that it's death metallic 100%?
Yeah. Usually you need to. I don't know how to keep it like powerful. I think it's yoga and running and keeping good health.
So healthy style is the way.
Yeah, but it's really hard.
Yeah, especially because, beer and all that stuff. Now, talking about a little bit of health and all that stuff, obviously when you play this kind of violent music and you're sweating a lot and, it's very physical thing, which I guess a lot of people know, especially if they have ever played in a band, but how do you, how much weight you need to put on, staying healthy and staying kind of fit to do this music, or do you allow yourself to be a little bit sloppy and just see how it goes?
I always want to go full. Like, I had this philosophy that if I'm not broken after a show, then I'm having to give enough. And it's really stupid because when...
Kind of a toxic.
Yeah, kind of toxic. And when I was getting healthier, it was easier. And so I was like playing 100% and feel not like vomiting all over and dead. And I was like, did I give my all? Did I give my all?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Have you had longer tours that have really tested your marathon spirit or resilience?
Not yet. Only like weekend warriors.
So you're basically all the challenges there to be waiting just you to conquer the world.
Yeah.
Now you haven't really recorded that much. I mean, it's only like a few releases, but why it is so? What is the secret of you? Are you holding back, or is it because you're not satisfied with all the ideas, or how it goes?
It's like because we make the music together and it's really a slow process, and because we have work and other life, so we don't have so much time. So it's just that.
Yeah, we touched upon it in your previous answer that all five of us have to be able to like stand behind the songs, be satisfied enough with them, and satisfied enough is fairly quite a high standard.
Really high standard.
Yeah.
Well,
we have like lots of songs, and many of them we have like put in a
just scrapped it.
Yeah, scrapped it just because we weren't completely satisfied with it. And yeah, that's one big reason I think why it takes quite a while for us to come up with stuff. But then again, other bands, family, work, all that shit in your personal life that gets in the way as well. So we cannot like put the band first in life priorities.
Now let's be honest about it. There are lots of bands doing death metal, and death metal is having kind of a revival state at the moment, and lots of bands that go very retro in the old school ways, like new bands, but doing the kind of old school 1990s sound and all that stuff. But a lot of bands are just like, not scrapping enough songs. I mean, they're doing a lot of mediocrity.
Yeah.
And I think there's just like too much of that. How do you feel about the scene yourselves? Am I totally wrong or mistaken with my ideas here, what I'm rambling? Or do you think there is just too much of this kind of a mediocrity, which would have been meaningless even if it happened 30 years ago?
Yeah, because it's like, if you just copy another band, you can always like, we are gonna play Cannibal Corpse type of songs, and it sounds Cannibal Corpse, and we're gonna play like, D-side or something, and it's always like a copy, carbon copies, and it's not good.
Like Swedish death metal.
Yeah, it's like
so many bands sound like that. It's not a bad thing, but if it all sounds the same, that's maybe a bad thing.
Like if they don't, bring anything new to the whole deal, or more like, okay, this is like a diluted version of Dismember. Like, why you bother doing it?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's quite funny because in our reviews they always say like, this is really basic, but they always say something like, but this sounds like fresh, sounds like old school, but with new school twist.
And whenever we get compared to some bands, they're always different bands.
Yeah,
that's like a good thing.
Except maybe Cannibal Corpse. That's the one that keeps kind of like popping up. Like
you cannot really be sorry about being compared to the biggest death metal band in the world. So but I think that's one of the few like constants in different reviews. Otherwise, it's
always like, oh, this sounds like Blood Red Throne, or this sounds like Dayside, or this sounds like whatever. But
Morbid Angel or
yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously those influences are there, but it's like it isn't like every single review says the same bands. It's every review says different bands. It's
Because
like, well, it kind of sounds like that.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like that.
I think we all have like different philosophies of how we make songs, how we think songs work. I'm really like old school death metal guy, and I like music. I like the death metal to be really like body music. It's like it's like danceable, and like when you hear it live, it's like
You can feel every cell in your body. Yeah. Okay.
and it can be really like raw and dirty and disgusting.
Yeah.
And other guys in our band like more like modern stuff and modern sounds. And I think like when we make music together, we bring those ideas to combine them and make new.
And that sounds like us.
Yeah.
Now, if you get to choose, because you mentioned these various bands and old school feeling, if you get to choose whatever studio in the world or whatever death metal producer in the world for the next Revulsion album, which studio would you go with and who?
That's a really good question. I don't know. Because we don't have like those like we want to sound like Scott Burns' album, or we want to sound like Sunlight. But we don't like talk about that.
Yeah.
We don't
never,
have like
never even really talked about those things. Yeah, I can't even come up with it.
Yeah, because
like, there are those. There's the Florida sound, and there's the Swedish sound. Well,
Sunlight sound.
Different Swedish sounds and so on. But I don't know. We've never had that. And
I think if we no, I don't know. It depends like what our next themes will be like. If you would like to be something like it would be really like doomy or really like open stuff, then we will choose the producer or the studio according to that.
Okay. What are you most, live band or studio band?
Live band.
Live band.
Yeah.
Why so?
We try to get the most of us on the stage, out of ourselves.
I think when you see him live, you understand that.
Yeah.
We're a live band.
All right. Like you said, you're going to give 100%.
Yeah, that's when it really comes out.
Now let's talk about the lyrics of the band, because obviously death metal is known for gory stuff and violence and all kind of nasty shit that nobody actually wants to go through, but we kind of like want to read about those horror stories and hear those growly vocals saying all those nasty events and all that stuff. What is your story when it comes to the lyrics?
I have to think about it a lot, because I think it's kind of funny that there's lots of bands that just copy, like we want to play like Cannibal Corpse and make songs about like gore lyrics and like things like that, and they don't like think about it, why I write these things
Exactly.
and when they are like challenged, except somebody told them that I'm offended by these lyrics.
Yeah.
Can you please tell me why you write this?
Exactly.
And they go like, I don't know. I like Cannibal Corpse.
Exactly.
So it's I have thought that, and for me, I think myself as a horror story writer.
Okay.
And the live situation is like the band is playing, and I'm the one who needs to get all the energy from the players and amplify it to the audience, and like tell the story and like performance the song, like the story of the song.
But why do you write these kind of lyrics? Don't you ever feel like disgusted, like what the fuck I'm doing with all this violence and horror stuff? Like, could you do something like, I don't know, nice lyrics?
I don't think our lyrics are not so like gory, and they are always from the perspective of the one who gets like
the victim.
Like the victim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like other thing I don't like, to be like the one, like the
murderer or whatever.
Yeah, because I'm not that kind of person.
Kind of just feels like a power fantasy.
Yeah.
Kind of grimy in that way. When we first started out, lyrics were pretty much just blunt, stupid violence.
Yeah, before
before you joined and like early on. But then there was a definite jump in like the level of ambition in the lyrics when he joined and started to bring these more like I don't know, esoteric ideas or something more kind of like, I don't want to say highbrow but something more than just stupid violence, basically.
Exactly. Now, death metal is often laughed about it because, you know, kind of not saying laughing stock, but kind of like joked about it because it's not taking it too serious. This has often brought upon, you know, people who talk about, for example, Cannibal Corpse and the whole school of gory and violent death metal. Like, why are you doing these horror stories? Because they're not relatable, they're not reality, and they're just kind of a B-class horror movie stories, and some say it's also a form of escapism. Like, you know, like we are gonna write this stuff because we don't actually want to write about reality. So, how does this translate to you? Is it also for you like, okay, reality is so horrible that you rather write fantasy?
Yeah, I think I like to think about it more like. All the people can be themselves when they watch us. They can laugh if it's laughable for them. They can be like, this is serious, or just be like, you can be yourself. I don't know.
But even Cannibal Corpse like of bands have got their accusations when we were talking about this very sensitive modern climate. I'm not gonna say woke, I just did, but you know, let's forget it. But I mean, like songs like, you know, Fucked with a Knife and stuff like that, which could be seen as like, okay, it's just like horrible violent act, but beyond that, it's not meant to be misogynistic or anything like that. But when you start focusing and writing lyrics, do you have to be cautious that you don't say anything offensive as such? Or are you just like, I don't care?
I want to say what I want to say, but I think that you have to take responsibilities when you write lyrics. Because like Cannibal Corpse, the old lyrics, they are really misogynist, I think. And they are really problematic, like in this age. But nowadays it's more like a humor band for me. Because all of the like rhymes and they're more like comical.
Yeah, exactly.
The lyrics. But the old lyrics are like really like disgusting. I really like pushing the boundaries. And I think nowadays, if somebody makes that kind of lyrics, and he needs to like understand that if you write lyrics about like raping and killing women, and you systematically write those lyrics, and somebody asks you at the, do you think these are misogynist lyrics? You must take responsibility.
I know what you mean, because we had actually this a couple of years ago when I was doing Cannibal Corpse and Morbid Vomit interviews, and it was brought about, okay, you can fantasize killing people, and some say who are very misanthropic people, like, I don't really care about people, and like murdering them is like fucking okay, and I'm like, okay, yeah, in this context I kind of understand, but I was asking like, okay, can you write killing kids? Can you write like lyrics about killing your, I don't know, cats and dogs? Yeah. And these guys were like, okay, never actually thought about it. Like, could it be more horrible if you actually started writing about like, hey, I'm sawing the head off your pet dog? Like, no, I don't want to talk about it. Like, should death metal and other forms of extreme metal be actually this extreme that it's supposed to, create this kind of conversation and discussion rather than just being like, yeah, they're just lyrics, we don't really care?
I think it's important because you can write lyrics like that. Nobody stops you. You can write all the lyrics you want, but you must take responsibility.
Exactly.
It's nice to push the boundaries, but you have to take the responsibility for that.
Yeah, it's okay. You can write everything you want.
Yeah, and especially if you can like say something to back it up.
Yeah.
That you don't just say that, like kind of escape the situation just by saying that, no, it's just a story, or it's just this and that. It's like, well, there's a reason why you wanted to write lyrics like this.
Yeah. And
so what is the reason?
Yeah. So, and that's what I think it's like really silly that people like just copy bands and do the same things, and they don't think about why. Because like Carcass and bands like that, they started with vegan ideas.
Yeah.
That we do things to humans to what humans are do to animals, and it's like that's the point. And people like started copying them, and the core idea just forgot in the way.
Do you think that metal can be actually someday be taken seriously as whole? Not just metalheads like, yeah, we can take it seriously, but what about the other people?
I don't know what that means. What that means, like seriously?
Like, I mean, like, there are lots of people who think like, much like, you know, some people say like video games, it's only like kids doing that. Metal music, you cannot really be serious about it. Like when you grow up, you will start doing different kind of music. You will focus on the more serious or, I don't know, grown-up music.
I think, how can it be more serious? Because it's a part of culture, and it has been a really long time. I don't know what, some people might think that it's silly, but
maybe we are silly people.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's how I feel about
some
it.
people think that jazz is silly and not real music.
That's a really that's a really good point.
Compared to like classical music.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know how it could be more.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks, and like, does it have to be taken seriously by everyone?
Yeah.
Nothing is taken seriously by everyone. There's always someone who is doing it, like laughing at something.
Yeah.
Abstract art. Some people take it really seriously. Other people find it absolutely hilarious that, you know, you put a chair in a museum and now it's art all of a sudden. It's just a fucking chair.
Yeah, we could actually see that the other way is also in terms of music.
Yeah. It's the same thing, I think.
Okay, let's talk a little bit different. Now, everybody knows who have been in a band for a certain amount of time that every now and then you get these ideas that maybe I should try something else than our forte or the kind of a style that you have been doing for a while. Now, do you have other projects or ideas like, okay, this is not going to fit Revulsion, but I still want to play this riff? What do you do then?
I record lots of stuff, but I will present the stuff that fits Revulsion to the other guys. The other ideas, I maybe someday put it out. Maybe. You never know.
What about you as a vocalist? Do you ever feel like, okay, I want to do some clean vocals and I want to do something totally different which doesn't really fit the band? Do you need a side project or can you put all your creative energy in this particular band?
I have many bands. I play in many bands. I play in like hardcore punk bands and rock bands, and so I have like all the outputs I need.
But how do you choose which one is the number one?
It's like the time always. There's always like some bands go like for a hiatus. For example, somebody has a kid or they're moving, and then for me it's kind of magic that then the other band is start rising up like, oh, we have time, we need to do something, and then I'm like 100% there. And yeah.
What about you doing the drums, and obviously you can play in a wonderful various ways while doing drums. You ever feel like you want to do something else, or do you also have various projects where you can just get different kind of drum?
I play in 4 bands at the moment, so I have those different outlets. One of them is completely out of metal, this, and then 2 other ones are metal but different kind of metal. So
by the way, you can really drop those names, you don't have to hide them if you don't want to advertise them.
No, well, they're not well-known bands or anything like that. So, but anyway, I have different outlets, and so one of them is completely outside of metal, and then the other ones are a different flavor of metal. So that gives me all those different options. And sometimes if I want to try to write riffs, I can, like, it depends on how I feel, and it's like, well, okay, this is Revulsion, this is Vedet, one of the bands, and so on.
Okay.
I want to name drop my bands.
Yeah, okay. Please do.
Turhus, hardcore punk band, Siistit Jätkät, a rock and roll band, Krypta Reflat, another rock and roll band. Is there more?
More finger pointing.
No.
Maybe you need a band called More Finger Pointing. Joking aside, what does the future of Revulsion look like?
Oh, good. For now, I think. We are just brewing our new stuff, and we don't have the studio. I don't know where we're gonna record, but
Probably DIY stuff.
yeah,
Once again,
like the other,
Yeah.
the previous album. But we have almost all the songs ready. Maybe some little bit of like
tweaking here and there, and a couple more songs maybe to really flesh it out. Especially to like ideal situation, I guess, for all of us. I think everyone could agree that if we had more songs, we could drop couple songs off the record, and then like really make a more
Tight album.
tight album. But once again, we're kind of slow, and songwriting process is tough occasionally.
Okay. Now, before we finish, there's something I want to ask each of you. Now, if you get to choose one album you would name drop to the audience, like start with this one if you want to get the best of, or whatever, out of Revulsion, what would be your favorite name dropping song?
That's a hard one.
Once again,
Like choosing
one of your favorite babies.
Babies. I think Lihaan sidottu kirja is one of my favorites.
How you want to translate it?
How do you?
Book bound in flesh.
Yeah.
Sounds really nasty. What about you, Mr. Drummer Man? What is your name dropping song?
I'm gonna name drop the first one I thought of, which is Last Echoes of Life. I think it's pretty emblematic. Is that the right word? Yeah, it gives a good idea of what we have to offer.
What about you, sir?
I want to say Lihaan sidottu kirja too, but I'm gonna say another one because
Yeah, it's better if you do.
Pyre Puree.
Why so?
I think it has like all the like good stuff I like about Revulsion. Like it gets your body moving, and it's really catchy. It has like a real chorus and really banging like last section.
Well, that's a really good way to describe a song, I guess. Why to check it out. Now, this is Revulsion, and we're gonna later on see how they look live. And if they don't kick ass, I'm gonna kick their asses. That's a promise. So stay tuned and check out these guys. Links will be in the description box, so you can just click and find about these guys' music. Now you know how their brains work, at least a little bit. So stay tuned for these guys. I know personally they do wonderful job with death metal, and there's no reason why would you not check them out. So please do entertain yourself, and stay tuned for more metal coming your way. This is Rauta, take care and good night. Hyvä, kiitoksia jätkät.
Yes.
Hyvä, nyt sitten vaan odottelemaan, että seuraavaa levyä tulee. Ennen kuin karkaatte, otamme perinteisen yhteiskuvan.
Yeah.
Hyödynnetään tätä sitten niin.